How's everything going today and over the last month of insanity?
Um, it's pretty good. Um, just confused like everyone else, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I guess we'll get into that confusion some more in a bit. But I see you're blonde now. Is that new for the quarantine?
yeah, it is. I've been wanting to do it for some time, um, and I just pulled the trigger the other day and made it happen. I'm happy with it, but I didn't realize how fast my hair grows. So it's like I gotta figure out what to do because I don't want it to just be that awkward, like,
Like what
you
I
know what I
have
mean?
going on?
No, that's fine. Like, because mine is just too short, so where it would be like half, you know what I mean? Like, after a while, it'll just start looking weird. So I guess I have to shave it bald again.
Well, it's good for now, so we're just gonna, in the moment, just appreciate this blondness we have going on. And
Thanks.
I feel like everyone at some point in this quarantine is wanting to like dye their hair or do something. So it's only a matter of time till I join in this.
Yeah, because if it looks terrible, it doesn't matter because you're not going to see anybody. So you can just,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I feel like what's been cool about this time is that everybody has different ways of coping with it, with like what they're doing with their time. So what have been some of your like healthy habits and hobbies that you've picked up over this time?
Um, I think physically, I've just been running. I mean, I like to run in general, but I've just been running a lot. Um, and it's just fun. Obviously, being safe. I'm not like doing any like marathons or anything like that, but just keeping my muscles awake, because I don't know how long this whole thing's going to be going, but
Hmm.
uh, like I want to be in shape for when we start playing shows again. I don't want to just like wake up to like a show and like having not done anything for months. So I'm just running for as far as like physical. And I haven't really been eating as bad as I normally do as well, which is just good because I eat like trash normally. But
Yeah,
shouts out to Jonah. I see him
I
down there.
know. Hey, Jonah, what's up?
Um, but like I've been watching Parks and Rec.
Ooh,
I didn't used to like that show. I used to just think it was like a wannabe Office or something. I just didn't get
that's
it.
kind of what I think of it. So please, like, tell
Okay,
me.
but listen, it's so much better than that. I think because I think The Office is fine. So then when I had friends watching Parks and Rec, I was like, I don't. It's so obviously just that. Like I don't know, but so I just didn't give it a chance. But it's so good. It's so much better than The Office to me. I think the characters are so much more likable. It's just sick. I think you should watch it.
Okay, well maybe that'll be my next pick to binge watch over the next few weeks.
Do it
But
for
it's good
sure.
that you're staying like healthy and active and stuff during this time. Especially, I mean, you guys have such a active like physical show. There's definitely a lot happening, so it's good
Yeah.
that you guys are sticking with it.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about what the band's been doing throughout this time because you guys have been pretty productive when you're not watching Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Earlier this month, didn't you guys put up a shirt for sale for the Walking in My Shoes Foundation, right?
We did. Yeah. We put up a shirt and all of the proceeds. I think those proceeds went to the Walking in My Shoes Foundation, or they may have gone directly to another charity. I can't quite remember.
Yeah,
Um,
I was looking at the caption again just before I hopped on this, and there were like a few different organizations that were benefiting from the shirt. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's been cool. And Jason has a few other ideas for things he wants to do as well this time, which is pretty sick. So we've just been talking about that. We're about like, I mean, before all of this really hit hard, I was in LA. We were writing the record, and it's sounding really good.
Well, that's good. No
Really
surprise
excited
there.
about it. Yeah, well, because that's the thing is I feel like I don't have I'm not the kind of guy to like go on record and say like it's so sick when it's not. I just won't say anything. I was like, oh, hopefully it gets better by the time it comes to release. But I'm really, really, really stoked on the sound, the songs. Like it's just like it's tight. It's not done yet, but everything I've you know that I've heard, I'm just like, this is going to be really cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is the first I've heard that you guys were working on a new album. So, how are you thinking it's going to be different from the last? Is it
Um,
is it that good?
it's really, really, really good. Like, I think, I don't know how many of like people who follow me like pay attention to kind of how I talk, but I would like to think like I try to keep it very real when it comes to like that kind of stuff. Like if I'm like it needs some work, I just won't say anything. I just won't really talk about it. But uh, I think the songs are so good, and I felt the same way about the last release. So I think,
Mm,
but I think what makes it different is like I can't explain it. It's so hard to say. It's like the vibe is just different. Like it just feels like it still hits really hard. It's really like uh, there's a lot of energy, but I don't know. You just gotta hear it when it comes out. The songs are great. I think everyone involved put in a lot of work, and I think it shows. It's just unique. And this that is, as I'm talking about it, I'm like remembering songs and like parts of songs, and I'm like, oh my gosh! Once they hear that, it's gonna be insane.
that's
I
so
could ramble about this for the whole time we have, so I'm not going to. Just know that it's cool and it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I mean the thing is too, I feel like artists are their own worst critics when it comes to their music. So the fact that you're so pumped just means probably our like as fans expectations are going to be like so much higher too, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely my worst critic. Like I allow myself to get bummed out on I overthink things, like it could be great, but I'm like, oh, it's cool to me, but what are people gonna think? But with this, I'm like, this it's gonna be really sick. So I've got you know,
Yeah, well the
no
suspense
bad
is high
feelings.
now.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to
Good.
be waiting.
Yeah, so
You
sit
said
on
you
that
are
until we
happy.
release it.
God damn it. Okay. So has that creative process kind of come to a halt now with everything that's been going on? How has the virus and all of that impacted where you guys are at with that?
Um, it in some ways, yes. I mean, obviously we can't really collaborate with, you know, John and Travis and stuff, and I'm in Atlanta almost like. Oh wait, I think my things just died.
For
Can you
like
hear me?
0.5 seconds. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Um, sorry.
You're killing it. You're doing great. It's
Um,
all good.
so yeah, we obviously can't do that, and so I just. Sorry, I'm listening to a podcast as well before you called, or I called. Is this the worst one yet?
No,
I'm not as good as Davey at these kind of things. He's a pro. He has his own podcast for those who
he's
don't
a
know.
professional talker. You can't compare yourself to him.
That's true. He is a pro. Um, but yeah, so the conventional way kind of has put a pause on things, but we're all still kind of writing on our own time, and
Oh, good.
um, so that's fine. When we're able to get back together, I think we'll have a lot of stuff to you know, to bring to the table and see what we have. So
Yeah, the gears don't stop turning just because other things come to a pause. So for
totally,
sure.
yeah,
And something else I was really curious about asking you about is I feel like with Fever, you guys have such a strong message of community. You know, strength in numbers is your whole thing, and how the power of community and coming together and using your voice to just invoke change in society in general. So, with social distancing, large gatherings and communities are not a thing in the traditional sense. So, how are you kind of thinking or hoping you want fans to continue using this message and vision that you have as a band in this temporary reality that we're living in? Sorry, that just got real heavy.
no, that's great. I think that I have to shout out a couple of the sort of Fever support pages, movement, and also 333 Gang. They do a really good job of kind of keeping like people sort of rooted, I guess, in the sort of community that this sort of that has happened. Like they, there's a lot of people sort of having these sort of like viewing, like kind of viewing parties, sort of like of shows and things like that. I mean, it's kind of wild and unreal as Instagram can be, it can also be a great tool, I think, to sort of stay in touch and kind of pull from support, because ultimately, like, you're in a, like, there's a lot of people that feel like you know, it's such a
Mhm.
strange time, you know, but uh, I think that social media, something like Instagram, and some of the ways that our support pages are utilizing Instagram, I think it's brilliant. It's like you really can't. It's like it doesn't have to be a huge platform. It could just be you and your friends, just like talking shit on here. You know, like you
Mhm.
can. You know, it's never really been easier to be close. Uh, to be close to people without being in the same room. You know, that's so it's like at least this isn't happening in like the 90s or something.
Yeah.
Be screwed. If I was like back
It's
when I
awesome.
was in like middle school, I just forget what my friends looked like by the time this whole shit was over.
For
So yeah, I think like honestly, just FaceTime. You know, like go through your phone list and just like call the people you love and care about. Just touch base. Um, it it's it's a weird time, but I'm thankful it's happening now, where technology is at a point where we can kind of do what we got to do. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of what we're doing here right now is like continuing the conversation about music and keeping things alive as much as we can during this time. So,
I'm
do you
stoked you're
think,
doing it.
oh, thank you. But do you think when we eventually do come back to live music and are able to get the fans together again, do you think it's going to come back a little bit stronger because of that distance? How do you think this is all going to be impacting later?
I do think so. I think everyone's just going to be really kind of just like geared up for that, like that live music thing, because you know
Hmm.
I don't know what that looks like. I don't know when that's gonna be. I don't think anyone can really predict it. I've talked to a few dudes in other bands who have really cool ideas for when it does kind of kick back in. So I
Hmm.
have a lot of hope for for that time, because I think people are a little worried. It's like, oh well, like, you know, like maybe bigger bands who play to like bigger rooms. It's like maybe it'll be a long time before um, they can start playing shows again. And then I've talked to some dudes in bigger bands, and they're like, "We'll just play small shows and play those venues over and over again." You know, like kind of do like little like residencies, if you will, and like in like smaller venues. And I think that's brilliant, as opposed to like not playing at all for people. You know.
That's interesting.
Um,
Yeah.
so people are really thinking ahead. I think when that time comes, people are going to be really excited. Uh, I think it's going to be a really cool time. A lot of the creative ideas people had during the downtime are going to come out, and I think it's going to be cool.
Wow. Now I'm just so stoked for all of this to come into fruition eventually. Because
Yeah,
that's something someone else had mentioned in another interview was the venue situation, you know? That's going to be a big thing. So that's an interesting solution that I hadn't thought about yet.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's where there's a will, there's a way. You know, it's like people are smart, and it's like people have really kind of showed how creative they are when it comes to having to think of options where there seemingly are none. Like Code Orange doing the whole um, like they had a whole album release show that was planned on like a Saturday or something, all of the like production and everything, and they could have easily just canceled it, but they thought around it and were like, we're gonna play to an empty room, and then that sparked a lot of other people doing it, and I think that's just awesome. Like I dig that way of thinking.
Yeah, for sure. So it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. Um, and I think this has been a really cool time just as we're at home for music discovery. I know I've seen that 30-day song challenge coming around and people just going back in their music library archives, but also discovering new music. So just want to hear from you about like what you've been listening to, anything you've rediscovered or discovered for the first time during this lockdown.
Um, I wish I could like scroll out of that, look at my Spotify to like kind of jog my memory. Um, I've been listening. Well, I watched that documentary on YouTube called "Slave to the Grind." It's just
Mm-hmm.
like all about like the history of grindcore, and so I kind of revisited like Napalm Death, and then some newer grind like Magruder Grind and ACXDC and stuff like that. Just really fast, heavy stuff, and Earl Sweatshirt dropped a song I think a couple days ago. I think it's really good. He doesn't have a bad song at all.
Mhm.
Um,
I know it's
uh,
so hard to remember the music you listen to. Like when someone just asks on the spot, I'm the same way.
I feel like it shouldn't be that hard because I'm not like listening to that much music. Not really.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like I can't really remember, but mainly just stuff like that band Magnitude is really good.
Hmm.
Um, Dare. Um, Criminal Instinct. I guess just like a lot of hardcore and then some grindcore as well. Just kind of trying to because I'm writing some like some heavier, faster stuff currently, and I just have been like looking for inspiration, I guess, and I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of good stuff out there right now.
Yeah, in that headspace a little bit. Well, before we conclude this lovely discussion, are there any other projects or things that you've been working on that you wanna mention?
I'm working on a couple different things right now. They're still in their early stages. Um, it's kind of hard to like give away too much, but I got my friend Robbie Simon here in Atlanta. We've been writing music forever, he and I, and this kind of pause has allowed us to just kind of start throwing ideas back and forth again. So at some point, I hope in the near future we'll have some stuff out for people, and then I got a bunch of just like Swedish psycho friends currently that we're writing a lot of really cool heavy music too. Um, to be honest, that project was supposed to have been sort of put out to the world already, but uh, COVID-19 sort of put the brakes on that as well. But that'll be out,
Mhm.
I think, sooner than later. And I'm really
Wow.
excited for people to hear that as well. So,
Would you look at that? Just a man of all trades, all
you
different
know what?
projects going on.
I do my best. I've got all the time in the world now. What else am I going to do but start a few bands? So,
Yeah, might as well stay creative, stay busy. And we have had a lot of people tuning in and out throughout this, so I do want to give one more shout to the shirt that you guys have been selling. And real quick, if you are you able to shout out the organizations that it's benefiting, or do you have that off the top of your head?
I don't remember what the charity it is, like which one it directly is going to.
Okay,
It might have gone to the to
I should have just written it down.
walk to the Walking in My Shoes Foundation, and then
Mhm.
from there they've gone somewhere else. But I can't quite remember. I think I remember the post saying it's going straight to a certain charity, but I can't quite remember what it is.
Well, I think it's awesome that you guys are using your platform to help other people and keep people in the loop on these things. So the Instagram page where they could get more details, is it just Fever333?
The Instagram,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
Fever
Instagram.
333. Yep.
Cool. So you guys can check that out for some more information. Anything else you want to shout out last second? Last chance.
Yeah, Tori, thank you very much for
Oh,
being an inspiration to people, being so cool and being so positive, and being
thanks.
encouraging in your fitness journey, and sort of being really transparent about all of that. And it's cool. It's encouraging me to to get out and make sure that I'm taking care of myself. So thank you for that, and thank you for doing this whole thing. It's such a cool thing. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
keeping
Well,
this
I
up.
appreciate that. You just made my day. Well, and everybody, make sure you check out Fever333 and all of the wonderful things he has going on. And that's a wrap.
It's a
It's been
wrap.
great chatting with you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, see you later. Bye,
See you later.
guys.
Bye.